if you are watching this video, you have completed steps 1, 2, and 3 in your 13 colonies checkpoint. So that means that you've selected a region and colony, you've completed the 13 colonies basic information sheet, and you've actually selected topics/questions to research more deeply based on the new information that you've collected in step number 2. That means you're ready for step number 4, which means that you're finding information to actually begin answering one of the questions that you've selected in step 3. Now, on your sheet, you're going to notice it says you must have blank pieces of information. Make sure that you are double checking with your teacher to find out how many pieces of information you need to collect before you check in. And also notice that it says cite your sources. So we're going to talk about citing our sources as well for step number 4. Now, step number 4 and 5 are related. As you complete step number 4 and get it checked off, you're going to be using the same worksheet for step number 5 to actually complete collecting that information and answering the questions on your research sheet. So, thinking back to your previous work in step number 3, you're going to make sure that you have broken down your question, thinking about what are the pieces or words you need to answer for that question. Number 2, you've actually started your search process, spending some time online finding information. And step number 3, evaluating your question. Now, if you've come to the point where you've evaluated your question and you've gotten yourself to a dead end, you need to select a different question. But if you actually have that question and you think you're ready to move forward in research, then it's time for you to go on to step number 4. Now, yesterday, or maybe earlier today, you saw that I have selected this question, what was life like for women in the colonies of Delaware? Now, that question is going to be what I'm putting on step number 4. To find step number 4, you're going to look in Schoology under my course page. In that course page, you're going to find step 4 and 5. That is actually where you should have started today, so that's where the video is at. And you're going to select this document. Now, when you select that document, you're going to open that document. When you open that document, you actually need to save it because you're going to be doing all of your work within that document. Now, when you open that document, you need to enable editing. You're going to save as, and you're going to save that in your OneDrive. Now, OneDrive is important for saving because that allows you to make sure that you have access to this both at home and here at school. So you're going to maybe save it with your name, and this is step 4 and 5. Now that document is saved in your OneDrive, and you have access to that both here at school and at home. Now, on that document, add your information, and you're going to actually be typing right into this document. And so my question, which I showed you again, was what was life like for women in the colonies, specifically in Delaware? So I'm looking at this here. What was life like for women in the colony of Delaware? And as I did my research, I also started to select some specific keywords. So I have the fact that Delaware is part of the middle colonies. I found out that a lot of the women did farming, there was slavery, maybe some indentured servitude, there were native women, and there was really a lot of impact on family life and social class. So I'm going to add some of those keywords because those things are going to help me today in my research. So my keywords include middle colony, farming, family life, indentured servitude, and finally, maybe even slavery. I also had native women as well. So now I actually need to collect information that begins to answer this question about what was life like for women in the colony of Delaware. Now, in my research, I came across a website that you all might recognize. This is from someone that we've looked at a lot of information. They had a website about colonial women. Now, unfortunately, this website is just about colonial women in all 13 of the colonies, not specifically in any one of the colonies or in the middle colonies. However, as I took some time to read through this article, which you should be doing in your resources, I discovered that there were some things that were true for most colonial women. We see that life in colonial America was extremely hard, and that the early women colonists and settlers were expected to help the men in a variety of hard labor tasks in order to survive. So you might remember that idea of like survival coming from Jamestown. And so there were a lot of different work that the women had to do, but they also were limited to these traditional roles of women, which meant that they were running the home and the farm, and that they were raising children. And so we see that there's a lot of expectations on these women, and that's just from this first paragraph here. And so I'm actually going to add that information to my document. So I found that colonial women were responsible for the family home and taking care of children. So see, I'm just typing my information straight into my document. And as I continue to read, I'm going to find that there's additional information. I find that there are traditional views held by the men that impacted the status and role of women, that women were forced to focus in the home, they were doing a lot of jobs within the home, and they had very limited legal rights. All of those pieces of information are from the same website, so I'm going to add those pieces of information. So we see that women were restricted to the home, they didn't have voting rights. Oftentimes we see that women were responsible for the making of clothes. They cleaned the home. They were cooking and taking care of animals on the farm. And so these women were responsible for a lot of things, but in return didn't get a lot. Now, I found this information on this website, and one of the important things that you need to be doing is that you are citing your information. And so I'm going to take this website and copy it, and then I'm going to head back to Schoology. And on Schoology, you're going to find an MLA resource page. So you're going to scroll looking for MLA formatting and resources. And so you can see that right here. When you click on that, you're going to head to EasyBib. EasyBib is a really helpful website because it gives you information and helps create your citation. So you're going to insert the website here and hit cite it. Sometimes it takes a little bit of thought. There, it's going to say they're gathering the information. You're going to confirm, like, yes, I do want this to be cited. And then right here, so you hit cite this. And then what you're going to notice is that it's got certain information, but it's ready to go to the next step, which is the final step, because there's some things that you're going to need to go ahead and add. So you continue to the final step. And in continuing to the final step, you're going to actually go back to the website that you were looking at to see if that information can be found online. So we have our source type, we have our article title, which has already been filled in, but we're missing an author. And so we're going to go back to this website, and I'm going to look at the top, nothing here. Then I'm going to head down to the bottom. When I head down to the bottom, all the way down at the bottom, I'm going to notice that there's some information across the bottom here that can actually be useful to me. And so I see right here, I've got a woman's name by Linda Alchin. So I'm going to add her name as my author. Linda and Alchin. And then we've got website title, publisher / sponsor. We might call it The Land of the Brave. That could be our publisher / sponsor. Oops. And then finally, when was this published? And if I go down to the bottom, I can see February 2017. We've got a date there. And so I'm going to select February, and my year is 2017. Now that I've added all of this information, I'm going to create a citation. I'm going to keep it free. And I got to watch this video. It asks me questions. You might get this. I didn't want you to have to watch the web ad, and so I paused it for you all. But here I've got my citation. You may be asked to watch an ad so you can get free access. I've just used it quite a bit. And so you're going to go ahead and copy that, and it will get pasted right into your work. So where it says citation in MLA format, you're going to just copy that guy right in there, and now you've got your first piece of information as well as a citation. You are doing this a specific number of times. Make sure that you stop and check in with myself, Mr. Berger, or Ms. Goff. And then as you get that item checked off for number 4, you're going to continue on the same worksheet for step number 5, and you're going to collect information on that worksheet. You're going to finish up question number 1, you're working on question number 2, and then finishing up with question 3. So again, your goal is that with step 4, you're doing a quick check-in to say, like, am I doing this correctly? And then step number 5 is actually collecting information for the 3 questions that you have selected. Now, I showed you my work with this question on women's rights, but I've actually done this work on multiple questions. And so here I've got a second question around religion, and I'm ready to start my research for that as I move into step number 5. Again, you are working on step 4 first, get that checked off and check in, and then moving on to step number 5. So good luck, you can do it.